Welcome to Hurry Up Pinball, a show where I teach you how to work on your pinball machine. Today I will show you how to install my Stranger Things camera mod. So grab your tools and let's get going. Here is a look at the camera mod I created for Stranger Things Pro, Premium, and LE. This mod includes a custom designed vintage camera, a camera mounting plate, 3 screws, and 1 lock nut. This camera mod will be installed in place of the flasher directly to the left of the Demigorgon. We will be removing the elevated plastic, gray spacers, and the red flasher dome. The LED board will be mounted to the new base plate and will sit inside the body of the camera. Here is a look at the camera during gameplay. This LED board is tied to many functions in the game, including the spinner and the left orbit ball kickout, as well as general lighting during attract mode. Here is a closer look at the camera and how it interacts with the LED board during gameplay. If you are interested in purchasing this mod, a link to this item can be found in the description. To begin this installation, unplug the pinball machine, move the pinball machine so you have access to both sides of the pinball cabinet, open the coin door, remove the lockdown bar, and remove the playfield glass. If you have cabinet protectors, install them at this time. Then partially raise the playfield and rest it on the ends of the support brackets. Then use the coil plunger mech to remove the pinballs from the machine. To avoid scratching the apron, place a small towel or blanket on the back box, then completely raise the playfield. We will be unplugging the Molex connector for the LED flasher board to make mounting the LED board to the new base plate easier. The wires go through the hole in the playfield as seen here. Find the Molex connector for the LED board. Squeeze the clip on the Molex connector and disconnect it from the wiring harness. Make sure to gently pull on the Molex connector and not the wires. Now partially lower the playfield and rest it on the ends of the support brackets. I found it easier to get to the flasher dome and LED board nuts with the ramp screws removed. Remove the 4 screws holding on the ramp as seen here. This will allow you to get under the ramp. You can now lift the ramp, but do not forget there are other wires connected that will prevent you from completely removing the ramp. You just want to create some space to work underneath the ramp. Here you can see how much easier it will be to get at the nuts underneath the plastic ramp after removing the 4 ramp screws. With the 4 ramp screws removed, place a clean towel on the playfield and under the lower part of the plastic ramp. This will give you a place to put some hardware as well as protect the bottom of the plastic ramp from getting scratched on the metal posts underneath it. We will be removing the 2 lock nuts seen here, as well as the flasher dome, gray spacers, long screws, and the elevated plastic. Use a screwdriver in conjunction with a small wrench, needle nose vice grips, or a socket and remove the screws and lock nuts. This mod includes new screws, but you will be reusing the washers and lock nuts from the hardware you just removed. Be very careful not to damage the LED board or put stress on the solder points or wires when removing the screws and nuts. Here you can see what we will be reusing and what should be removed and placed into a storage bag. Keep these items in case you decide to reinstall them at some point in the future. Now grab the LED board by the sides and associated wires and carefully remove it from the pinball machine. Be careful as the Molex connector may get hung up under the playfield. Next, feed the LED board through the hole in the new base plate and mount it to the plate with the LED facing the clear side of the base plate. Use a screw and lock nut from the provided hardware. Make sure the LED board is mounted vertically as seen here and is at a 90-degree angle to the base plate. Make sure the LED board is snug so it does not move, but do not over-tighten it. While doing this, be sure not to pinch the wires or put stress on the solder points. Here is how the LED board should look when properly mounted to the base plate. Now feed the wires through the hole in the ramp. Then, using the 2 remaining new screws, install a washer on each one, then install them into the new base plate and ramp holes. Start threading the 2 previously removed lock nuts onto the new screws on the underside of the plastic ramp. This can be a bit tricky, so take your time. Try not to drop the lock nuts into the pinball machine. I have included 1 spare lock nut in case you lose one. Use your screwdriver and wrench, socket, or pliers and tighten down the base plate. Make it snug, but do not over tighten it, as you can crack the ramp or base plate. Here is how it should look with the base plate and LED board mounted to the ramp. At this time, remove your old hardware and store it in a safe location in case you need it in the future. Remove the towel from the playfield as well and lay the ramp back into position. Before we install the ramp screws, you need to feed the LED board wires and Molex connector back through the playfield. Here you can see the hole where the wires need to go. This spot is a bit awkward to get to, but you can roll the wires in your fingers if you need to change the angle of the Molex connector to get it through the hole in the playfield. With the wires fed through the playfield, it is now time to reinstall the ramp and screws. Make sure the tab on the upper end of the ramp is placed below the ramp section at the back of the playfield, and the lip of the ramp is tucked into the notch for the Demigorgon ramp wall. With the ramp in the proper position, reinstall the 4 screws that hold on the left ramp. Next, grab the camera and carefully insert the LED board into the hole in the body of the camera. Place a few fingers under the plastic ramp, line up the base plate with the holes in the bottom of the camera body, and squeeze the camera onto the base plate. This is a snug fit, and there should be a small amount of resistance when connecting the base plate to the camera. If you encounter a lot of resistance, try lining up the holes with the pegs on the base plate. The pressure should be more than enough to hold the camera in place, even with the playfield raised. With the camera in place, it is now time to reconnect the Molex connector under the playfield. You also want to make sure to remove any slack in the LED board wires above the playfield. Here you can see the wires that we need to tighten up so they don't hang into the left orbit and get hit by the ball. Go ahead and raise the playfield at this time. Find the Molex connector you fed through the playfield. Gently pull on it to remove the slack from the left orbit and reconnect it to the wiring harness under the playfield. You can look from the side of the raised playfield to ensure the slack has been removed from the orbit. Now partially lower the playfield and double check there is no slack from the LED board wires hanging into the left orbit. It is a little difficult to see here, but the wires are nice and snug against the bottom of the ramp and out of the way of any pinballs. With the camera installed and the Molex connector reconnected, remove the towel from the back box, completely lower the playfield, and remove the cabinet protectors if you used them. Plug the pinball machine in and turn it on. Once the game is booted up, open the coin door and pull the white pin inside the coin door so high voltage flows under the playfield. This will allow the lights to work while the coin door is open. As a reminder, do not reach into the pinball cabinet when there is high voltage flowing underneath the playfield. To test your work, enter the menu, select Diagnostics, then Lamp, then Flasher Test, then cycle to flasher number 165. You should see the camera flash on and off repeatedly as seen here. Here is what it should look like when functioning properly. If everything looks good, reinstall the pinballs, install the playfield glass and lockdown bar, then close the coin door. Move the pinball machine back into position if you previously moved it. Be sure to play a few test games to double check your work. This is Craig with Hurry Up Pinball, and I wanted to say thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, show your support for Hurry Up Pinball and click the subscribe button. We can also be found on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Hurry Up Pinball.